Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Shai by Hashem Kwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations unto my fellow laborers, the Akim, that are doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, even more so now than ever. To the confusion of faith, brothers joined unto our ranks, the hopefully elect, the Akwaf that are listening and learning. To you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of GMS here in Chicago, coming at you with yet another installation of the war, the untold war between Judaism and Christianity. And I'm going to start with Psalms 64:8, which is the scripture that the learned are very familiar with, and the unlearned are becoming familiar with it. If you're new, you're gonna become familiar with it. This is Psalm 64:8, and it reads, "So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away." So what's happening is everyone's fleeing away from Esau, turning their back and coming against Esau, Edom, which is the so-called white man. And I'm going to let you know that the so-called white man and the so-called fake Jews, which this video is called, which was put up by a so-called white man. The name of this video is "Fake Jews Are Not Israelites Nor Chosen People, But Are Edomites." So this is a Caucasian man, all right, an Edomite, pointing fingers at other Edomites. The Jewish Edomites, okay, are the same people and race as the rest of the Caucasian race, outside of the Caucasian people that are actually confusion of face. Okay? So without any further ado, let's let the video play.
I'd like to take a look now at the history of the Jews, which is very interesting and also very controversial. And I thought I'd go and have a look at Jewish literature to see what they say about their origins. And here we see three quotes. And the first is in the 1925 Jewish Encyclopedia, which says that Esau, Edom, is modern Jewry. And of course this is contrary to what most people believe today, which is that the Jews are God's chosen people because they are the Israelites. But here the Jewish literature is saying that they are actually from the tribe of Edom, not the tribe of Israel. And in the Jewish Almanac in 1980 it says, strictly speaking, it is incorrect to call an ancient Israelite a Jew or to call a contemporary Jew an Israelite or Hebrew. And that's because, truthfully speaking, they are not the Hebrews or Israelites, they are really the Edomites. And also we see here in the Encyclopedia Judaica that Edomite Jews began to call themselves Hebrews and Israelites in 1860. And so this is a relatively new idea that the Jews are God's chosen people, that they are the Israelites. And so let's have a look now at the first word of Jew that's appearing in the Old Testament. And to do that, I thought we're going to have a look at the Strong's Exhaustive Concordance of the Christian Bible. And so we see here the Strong's Exhaustive Concordance of the Bible. And if we look up the word Jew, we see here that the word actually begins in the book of Ezra in the Old Testament, and the reference there is 3064. And so here in the Hebrew and Chaldee Dictionary of the Old Testament, when we look at 3064, we see it means Jehudi, or someone from Judah. In other words, a geographical word. And if we go back and have a look at the New Testament reference, we see the New Testament reference there is 2453. And so if we're going to have a look at the word Jew in the New Testament, it's been translated from the word Iudaeos, which is where the word Jew comes from. The words I-O-U today are J-E-W. It actually means someone belonging to Judea, or someone from the physical, geographical location of Judea. And so the word Jew is derived from a geographical term referring to the land of Judea. And remember that the Judeans were only one of the 12 tribes of Israel. And it first appears in the book of Ezra, which was written around about 440 BC, which is roughly the same time as the books of Nehemiah, Esther, and Malachi were written. And we have established that the Jews are not really the Israelites, so the question is, who were the real Israelites? And a clue to this is given in the book of Maccabees. And remember, the name Maccabees is a Scottish name. And so if we look in the book of Maccabees, we see how the first people that Judas Maccabee went out and conquered were the edomites, that is, the Edomites living in Judea.
Then they go on to show you maps, you know. Salakia, he actually cut the Edomites pretty bad, the fake Jews. And then he goes on, the video goes on to show you the Scots, the Celts, you know, and the Gauls, and, you know, and he, as you see, he has a white man, a so-called white man, an Edomite, as if there's a difference between them and the imposter Jewish people, when there isn't. All right, I'm gonna read a scripture from the book of 2nd Ezra, the 7th chapter, and verse 28, and it says, "For my son Yahushai shall be revealed with those that be with him, and they that remain shall rejoice within 400 years. And after these shall my son Hamashiach die, and all men that have life." Okay. Then I'm gonna jump to verse 50. It said, and that there is a promise that is promised us in everlasting hope, whereas ourselves being most wicked are made vain. So the us is talking about the Israelites. If you go to Romans 9:1-4, it makes it clear that the covenant, the promises, the Lord died for the nation of Israel, not all people. And it's definitely not the people who are over in Scotland and Ireland now, because there was a 400-year period when the Israelites were scattered among the Grecians and then among the Romans, and then came the Dark Ages. The Israelites, the real ones, were responsible for the fall of Rome, and they inhabited Ireland, Scotland. That was called the Hibernia, or the Iberian coast, which basically translates back to Hebrew. Okay, to Ibar, goes back to that word. The Iberian goes back to coast, goes back to Ibar, which actually means Hebrew. All right, so he's right when he showed you these maps in this video. You know, if it keeps going, and let me turn that sound down because it gets loud with the little music. But when the video plays, he's showing you all these Edomites and these maps of different parts of Scotland and Ireland, and you know, and that whole sort of thing, and talking about the Maccabees. But the Maccabees were so-called Negroes. All right, and I'm gonna read from this book right here, which is called The Negro Question Part 1. You notice on the front cover is King James, King of the Scots, and that word Scot actually means black. That's what the word goes back to. As a matter of fact, King James had his son Charles was called Black Boy. That's the one in the left corner here where my thumb is. Okay? He was nicknamed Black Boy. What Edomite man do you know is going to call his son Black Boy? All right. It called them the hordes of the Scots. They were referred to as dusky. You know, so like the word Moor, which is a German word, which means black or dark. You know, the word Negro, the word nigger, Acts 13:1, when it tells you that the disciples of the disciples of men of the Lord were called Simon and Barnabas were called nigger, which simply meant, you know, dark skin. It didn't have the negative connotation that it has today. But let's read some of the information from this book. All right. Matter of fact, let me pause. The origins up, right? These false fake Jewish people. All right. He actually showing you some dark fleshed Israelites here. Okay. So they're telling you a little bit of truth. All right. But these don't look like the ones that went into Scotland, though. Yeah, I mean, you know, or the ones that are in Scotland now. That being the point. So it's showing you Israelite and a Khazar. So that part being true, but nevertheless, this is Professor Winchell Alexander, our remote ancestry, 1815 to 1900 was when he lived, a collection of journals. The short black men came from Atlantis, northern Africa, and they overran Europe. They were known as Britons. Roman historian Tacitus of the Black Britons. Iberians, there we go with that word Iberians, are black people with curly hair. Anthropology Review Society, London, Volume 8. And so it's giving you the books and the names and the authors and where this stuff came from. Joseph Riston, Annals of the Caledonian Picts and Scots, Volume 2, pages 7 and 27. Picts are brown complexion with curly hair. Ivan Sertima, African presence in early Europe, page 225. The Britons look like Ethiopians. All right, let's get a scripture real quick. Because these people almost look like, here on the top, these different Africans look like, so-called Africans, look like Ethiopians, okay? And there's a scripture to substantiate that. Let's get it. It's in Amos. Let me find it real quick. But it makes a comparison, you know, between the Jews and the Ethiopians, because they were all dark complected people, all right, with woolly hair in a lot of cases, with different shades of brown. This is Amos 9 and 7. Are ye not as the children of Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel? Saith Yahweh, have I not brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt? And what was Egypt? A place full of us Africans, Mizraim, not white people. Historians have lied, and this is why I watched the video where the guy said the internet was the biggest mistake they ever made, because what's happening is that Edomite lies, fake Jewish lies, and white colonial Christianity, Caucasian lies are being exposed. And you have to understand that their power and their rule have been based upon the lies they've hid behind for centuries now. And with this new information age, all the lies and the things that they try to cover up and hide are coming to the forefront. Okay? So let's go back into this book. He was at Ivan Van Sertima. So let's go up. It says Albert True Israel, why it matters, Salakia. Must have hit the screen and clicked on another video. Let me go back. There we go. But here we go. Albert Churchward, 1912, Origins of and Evolution, pages 12 and 13. The black box were exterminated from Europe, and that's what happened. All those, so they were there, all right, because the first time when Alexander, when Alexander of Macedonia took over Europe in the first place, when they first took over Europe, they pushed the brown-skinned Etruscans out of there. All right, they got pushed out of there. So Europe was a place of brown-skinned people. The sons of Japhet were brown-skinned people. The Edomites saying that's a confusion. You even got Israelites that are confused with that. They think that they're two sets of white people. All right, thinking that the Edomites are Jewish and the other white people are Japhetic. No, they're not. Those people in Russia, those are Edomites as well. Okay? It's simple as that, man. All right, when the Khazarians converted to Judaism in the 7th century, okay, half of their people became Muslim and the other half became Jews. All right, some of those Muslims are in Saudi Arabia as the heads, not the general population, but the royal family, and then the Turks. So the Turks and the Israelis are the same people. They're the same people. One just cleaved onto, to Islam, and the other one, followed Judaism. The only difference between them is religion, but racially, ethnically, sperm line, they're the same people. They all go back to Khazaria, which I just learned that Khazaria and Ukraine, which is their homeland, the word Ukraine and Khazaria had the same meaning. Okay, let's look at what some more scholars wrote. These collection of quotes from these scholars. This is Professor Boyd Dawkins. Our earliest ancestors, bygone days, a lecture delivered in the public hall, Collyhurst, Manchester, on January 8th, 1879. And this is what he said. The ancient British, Irish, Scots are short black people. Pages 103 through 107. Dr. Thurnham, Journal of Science, page 92. From the evidence at hand, it seems that the Iberian black man occupied the whole of Western Europe at one time. I don't need to go any further, man, because this is information that can be looked up by. Matter of fact, let's get one more. Let's pour a little bit more salt in the wound. This is a quote from Professor Huxley, 1870. The Iberian race, page 332. The Iberian boss black bones have been found all over Europe with his animals. There it is, man. So, and a matter of fact, and I believe that it was Professor Boyd Dawkins who talked about these different bodies that were dug up in ancient Egypt, and he said they matched the skeletons of the Negro slaves in America, and he said that their position was the same. That they were the bodies that they dug up in ancient Egypt they were in a captivity, and so were the bones that he was examining of the Negro slaves in the Americas at the time. All right, so that status, because why, they were in slavery again, which Egypt means house of bondage, slavery, captivity. Like Deuteronomy 28 clearly says that he would take you in. Matter of fact, let me just read it instead of trying to. I actually know it. I probably can speak it by heart, but I'll just read it anyway. Let's get it. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 29. And oops, I'm in Genesis. Salakia. Why did I go to Genesis? 28 and 68. And it reads, and Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way I spake thereof, thou shalt see it no more again. That it, for you newcomers, is Israel. And Egypt is being brought into Egypt again. The word Egypt means house of bondage, slavery. There's no account of the Israelites going back to Egypt physically again. And why would you need a ship? You can walk from Egypt to Israel, back and forth. There's no way to ride a ship back and forth between Egypt and Israel. All right? And it says, thou shalt see it no more again, and there, wherever you're going, ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen, that's slave men, and bondwomen, slave women, and no man shall buy you, redeem you, save you. That this is the curse that the Lord put onto you. This is a punishment that the Lord put on you. And that is what is going to happen to you. All right, so we're going to continue in this series, in this lesson, and we're going to go into this book here, which was given to me last night. This is the image of the black man in Western art, and it's showing you how Greece was translated from dark people to pale people. All right, and that was through Alexander the Great. And you've often heard me say that that, and this book has this is like 5 of my books combined into one with the information in this book. This book this book is a weapon. All right, with all these different artifacts in this book clearly showing you the presence of the Israelite and the so-called Black African all throughout the Middle East and all throughout Greece. And it's showing you the gladiators. You've often heard us say that wow, this book is amazing. I can't wait to show it to you. I'm flipping through the pages. I should have it up in front of the camera, but I was trying to find a page which showed you the gladiators fighting. And you've often heard me say that the same people that win the arenas, that were fighting and entertaining. As a matter of fact, here's an image right here. That when the arenas back then, this man with this axe and his shield was a gladiator. You can clearly see that that's a Negro. So like I told you, the same people that were in the arena, all right? And it looks like he's got fringes on too, okay? He's got fringes on his garments. You can clearly see a battle axe and a shield, right? And an afro, okay? Negroes with afros and axes. The same people that were entertaining in the arenas today were entertaining in the arenas back then. That's just like King Solomon said, there's nothing new under the sun, man. And these are artifacts that were dug up all over Europe and throughout Greece and Rome, man, and Egypt. That's where this stuff is coming from. It says the image of the black in Western art from the pharaohs to the fall of the Roman Empire. So it's showing you in writing. And when we tell you that Rome was brought down by Negroes, it's clear and evident their presence there. They were all in the military. They were citizens. They were slaves. They were all that. And they were gladiators in the arenas. And there's thousands of images and relics and artifacts from museums of different places that were throughout Greece in this book. We're going to have fun with this. All right. So I'm going to be going through this book quite a bit, sharing it with Israel, proving the Negro presence in ancient Greece, in ancient Rome, and you weren't making statues of slaves. So these were affluent people and people in positions of power and you know, and that whole sort of thing. All right, here's some boxers. It looked like Jake putting the flops on Esau here. All right. So yeah, we're gonna thoroughly go through this book. All right, you can see this lion. It said he's killing an African, and more than likely it's probably a Hebrew. All right. But Cushites. All right, so maybe it was a Ethiopian being killed by a lion, but nevertheless, it's showing you that Egypt, ancient Egypt, was it was indeed niggers, meaning dark people, and the Israelites were indeed nigger, just as dark. That's all the word nigger mean. It doesn't mean the negative connotation that's been added onto it today. For anyone who's new, who's watching, all right, that's a new speak thing. Nigger, Negro, Negress, Niger, Moreno, they all mean the same thing. Scott, Moore, they all mean the same thing. So with that, I hope this was an edifying lesson. Until the next time, Shalom and a Baba Ball.